All right, everybody. Welcome to From Experience. I'm Thomas Meister, your host for today's episode. Super excited, and especially this conversation we're having today around value. I think that consumers and clients need more from us. This is a really critical topic. So when the NAR settlement happened, a lot of people wanted to talk about it, and I quickly started thinking to myself, I think that a lot of us are really focused on the wrong thing. So we're not going to talk about the NAR settlement today, okay? We're going to focus on, we're not going to talk about like the DOJ, okay, reopening cases. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have also come out with some good stuff about how they're not going to count concessions sellers want to give buyers for their agents toward commissions for a transaction. So let me quickly share with you guys what we are going to focus on today as far as the outcomes. I'll be honest with you guys. I saw Tom Ferry did a YouTube video, a webinar, and I totally just got inspiration, right? Imitation is the best form of flattery. So I ripped off his slide layout. But the first thing that we need to talk about today is, or that we're going to get right from outcomes, is clarity, okay? I've heard a lot of agents talking about the things that they do to earn their client's business as well as do during a transaction. I think experienced agents know that good communication, having a phenomenal process, especially perks, like the things that we pay for and give our clients, those things really aren't the reasons that people should use us, that they should work with you, okay? The second thing we're going to work on today is making sure that you have actions to take. How can we do better? And what are some of the things that you can do after this call or during this call? We'll probably don't do it during the call, actually. So you made time to be here today. So close your Gmail, your Outlook, your Teams, silence your time to be for this. So let's be present. And if I could see you guys, I'd probably ask for a thumbs up. There is also going to be a giveaway. So we have a special guest joining us at the end of this webinar to talk about that a little bit more. Our guests today, we have Ryan McKee joining us in Riverside, California, Karl Tunberg in Tempe, Arizona, and John Bai in Seattle, Washington. All three of them are level 3 realtors within the core training, as well as coaches within the core. And there's qualifications to be within the core. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more as well here in a second. But I think this is how the show is going to flow, is we're going to do introductions. I think, again, it's important. Who are you listening to? Like, what is their experience? What are numbers? Because a lot of people like to be loud, especially in a time like this. Then we're going to have the panel, and then we're going to have our special guest and giveaways. Let me just quickly check on the chat. Is everybody doing good? Can everybody see in here? We're doing good? Okay. I want to quickly talk about why, to me, the mission to change the mortgage industry and by association, the real estate industry is so important. Okay. My dad is actually from the East Coast originally. He's born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. He, went to college, graduated, got a job, got married, started a family, pursuing the American dream. He had 2 kids, but really couldn't find opportunity. So he, risked it to come to California and start over. Well, fast forward to the year 2000. So my dad has 7 kids now, okay, of which I'm the youngest, and he's still only making median income, which is about $40,000 back then. And eventually my dad finally did catch a break, and he started to excel in his career, and he started to make 6 figures. Then he started to make multi-6 figures. Unfortunately for my dad, he had some pretty terrible role models, which were the CEOs of his company, who spent lavish amounts of money on vacations, on golf trips, and on things. And when 2008 happened, my dad didn't just lose his job. He actually fell into depression and couldn't go back to work, and he couldn't pay his mortgage because that job was what allowed him to buy his first house. But he wasn't very wise with what he was doing. I remember coming home from my job at Chase at the time. My dad asked me and my 2 sisters, who were still living at home at the time, to come to his room, and he's like, "Hey, I need your guys' help. I can't pay the mortgage, and if you guys can't help me, I'm gonna have to sell the house." So my dad eventually got a HELOC, and he'll have a HELOC on his house till the day he dies. But I share that story with you guys because nowhere in our society is financial literacy taught. Do people want to help the client beyond the transaction? And that's a shame, because at the end of a transaction, what do we know about the client? You know everything. And we really could, if we wanted to step into that role and considered that our job, I think that there's a lot of opportunity after the transaction. And the reason that you should care, number one, is the lifetime value of a client. I think the average customer, client, person buys and sells 3, 4 homes every single year, and they can refer a lot of people to you. So there's reasons that you should want to do this besides it just being really awesome. And these are some of the I think it's important to, if we're going to step into that, what are some of the necessary steps that we have to help our clients go through from I can't buy a house to I must, and the opportunities that creates for people. Number one, it's going to require a really deep understanding of the housing market, the data, and the facts. These are your skills, right? This is your experience. If you don't have that, you're going to have to work. You should associate yourself with people who do. You choose the people in your life where you coach, right? Shout out to core training. The second thing is going to be helping clients understand and separating what's happening in the national economy versus the personal economy. Because yes, it matters, but everybody's different and they need different advice and guidance. Third, it's so competitive, guys. So you really do have to level up how we're helping our clients have a competitive advantage and get their offers accepted, depending on what market you're in. And then again, like my mission is I want you to help me save people like my dad from having their lives destroyed because nobody told them that they should have insurance or why life insurance is important. Nobody told them these are some of the things that they could be doing to become more successful homeowners. So with that said, I'm going to bring up our guests, and we're going to just quickly go through the introductions again with the flow of this. So Ryan, I'm going to bring you up real quick. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, your company, and then your numbers for 2023, as well as your date.
Absolutely. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Ryan McKee. I am a broker and the owner of the McKee Real Estate Group. We're located in Riverside, California, which is Southern California. And I do have a team. We have a small 6-person team. Last year, we were able to assist 146 families for $81 million in sales volume. And this year to date, we're at 43 units for $26 million.
Nice. All right, cool. John, going to come to you.
All right. Hey, everybody. John By here. John Scott Real Estate, just outside Seattle, Washington. Our team consists of 12 team members, 6 support staff, 12 salespeople, including myself and my amazing wife. For last year, 2023, we helped serve 103 families for $77 million in closed volume. And this year so far, we're at 35 closings and 24 million in volume.
Right on. Karl, coming to you.
Hi, everybody. Great to see you this morning. Glad you're with us. My name is Karl Tunberg. I am the co-owner, CEO of Citiea Real Estate Group, and I have a 12-person team, 3 support staff, and myself and the rest are salespeople and showing agents. In 2023, we did 132 units for 74 million in volume, and year to date, we're surprisingly having a great start to the year, 54 units and just over 30 million. So super excited about that and really looking forward to diving in here this morning and talking about how we can make everyone's lives better. So thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Well, I've spent some time with you guys before this, kind of doing some promo stuff and touching on the topic. So you guys have had some time to prepare. Let me start with you, Ryan, because you and I initially connected on this. I saw everything happening. I was like, oh, like, sure, this is a talking point. Like, we need to also prepare for this. I don't want to be like everybody else and just talk about the settlement. I want to talk about our value. That, again, I think that there's a difference. The customer could understand the lifetime value we deliver them probably better. But what are some of the things that you initially started to think about around value and how we help our customers?
Well, I love your story. So Tom, I appreciate you sharing. I mean, sometimes you have to connect. And I love the fact that you were talking about being real, sharing pain, talking about your experience with your family. Like that hits you right here. And in our industry, we can either sell a product and we can remain transactional, or we can choose to be relational and create a lifelong relationship. And years ago, that's what I decided is I was ungratified in this business and it was purely transactional. The second that I decided that I wanted to create my vision, my purpose, my value proposition, all of that, this industry just completely changed for me. So I believe, like you said, Tom, there's a lot that we do, before the transaction, during the transaction. But I tell every single client, literally my purpose is what happens from when we close on. My job is, we just got you into probably one of the biggest debts of your life. My job is to get you out of that as quickly as possible and help you build generational wealth. So I think becoming clear on that purpose is really what changed for me, where I became a commodity to becoming an advisor and becoming valuable.
Dude, you said something great right there, which is getting away from being transactional. And I think back to like my maturity, my growth through, I started in title insurance, and I'll never forget when I met Ryan Grant. Ryan McKee and I both know Ryan. And I saw what he was doing for his customers. Ryan was the number one lender in Orange County, 3 in California, 25 in the country. And I was like, damn, okay. I thought I was doing okay. And so I said, screw it. I'm going to find a way to partner with this guy. So that's what I did. John, let me come to you. And I guess if you have some thoughts around this, but as far as getting away from being transactional, okay, and focusing on the relationship.
Yeah. I think that a lot of us, we get into the weeds of, how many deals can we put on the board, right? And how much sales volume can we have? And, for us is like, yes, we want to be able to help more clients. We want to improve our price points and become better business owners. But at the end of the day, Rick is always challenging us, the owner of the core, is that you need to help more people. So it's great to be able to have bigger numbers, but we are all so good that I think there's so many of us that continue to be secret agents in the corner that are not talking to the right people, raising your hand, asking for help so that you can get in front of those folks. So we come into the office every day and we do our thing, but we're also reactive. And right now, like we're in a position to where that is no longer going to be acceptable. You have to be able to reach out to them and see if somebody needs your help, because there's a lot of people that are out there that really do need our help, but they're not raising their hands. A lot of folks are just very uncomfortable asking for help. But when you engage and you come and you make that connection for the right reasons, to help serve and help them get to the next level, whether that's creating wealth or a safer home, whatever that might be, we need to be able to find that out. But we got to go find those people. We can't just sit back, relax, and think that the phone's going to ring, because those times are over.
Yeah. So that's another great point. And I've heard this said before by some other people is, as Americans, one of the things that we innately, right, in the pursuit of the American dream want to do is own land, right? Own property. When most people think about buying a home, right, they're like, I don't know if I can really do that, right? But it's the first thing they'll raise their hand and see if they can get, because most Americans don't have a financial planner. They don't have someone helping with their taxes. The wealthiest people in our society employ, it's called a family office, a home office. They employ all these people. They work for them. But the average American doesn't have that. So I think that's a great point. There's a lot of people, even homeowners, not raising their hand because they don't want to be sold something, right? They don't want to be, lenders, they typically just assume you're only as good as your interest rate. And real estate agents, you're going to try and sell my house, or you're going to try and sell me a house. Karl, let me come to you really quickly. Some of your thoughts on this, and then we'll get to some of the other topics we have here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reminded on a regular basis about how impactful we can be in people's lives. I had a client reach out to me last night, and it's an unfortunate situation, but his wife just left him. They've got 3 kids. They bought a big house, probably more than what they can, as individual people can afford. It worked fine for the family community, but he doesn't know what to do. He's lost. And I spent probably 45 minutes on the phone with him, kind of walking him through the experiences I had getting divorced 30 years ago, and giving him like a little bit of a roadmap, but also just empathizing, listening, giving him hope. And I think, if you don't dig into that part of your business and you don't get into people's lives, you're missing the whole point of this. I mean, we're involved in the largest transaction, dollar wise and importance wise, in people's lives, and to be able to do that 150 times a year is phenomenal and amazing. And the more of yourself that you give back to these people, it just comes back to you tenfold. It's amazing. So
Yeah. For everyone watching, let's have some chat action, because this should be a collaboration. Like, I don't think we should any of us be ashamed, because I remember some of the stupid ideas that I had, um, about like, well, I mean, literally for almost a decade of my life, I tried to work with realtors, and then I tried to work with lenders as a title rep, and now I'm in the mortgage business, right? So what are some of the things that you guys are doing to add value to your clients? And there's no shame or judgment in any of this. Again, this is a collaborative effort, okay? I think that some people, there's evolutions and stages of our business. And so it's perfectly fine. I'd love to see people just quickly drop in the chat. What are some of the things that you are doing to add value, lifetime value to your clients? So I'm just going to put this up for everyone, right? How do you feel about how the industry is doing? Okay, we're going to be changing, right?
Mhm.
What are some of the ways that we probably need to evolve a little bit further? And then what are some of the things that you're doing personally? So how do you feel about our industry as a whole? And then what are some of the things that you guys are trying to do personally?
Perfect. I'll start. Or is that one of your questions, Tom, that you want to put in the chat, or do you want us to kind of give some insight on our side too? Or
Yeah. So the question is, how do you evaluate the industry, right? The standard, I guess if you were to look at the industry 80-20 rule, it's more like 90-10 nowadays. I think that, well, John, maybe we'll come to you right after this, because you guys have been doing some of these things for a while in Washington. Okay. Like some of the changes since, I think, January, correct?
Mhm. Yep.
Well, actually, let's really quick touch on that. What are the changes that you guys made in January? How has that affected things?
Yeah, so I think all across the country right now, like Washington was our MLS got ahead of a lot of this stuff. So number one is that I'll touch on the buyer broker agreement. A lot of us in the core, we've been looking at a lot of our students and a lot of coaches have already implemented this. In our neck of the woods, this was not something that anybody did. So if you tried to pin somebody down on a buyer broker agreement, like they're taken off, they're gone, right? They're like, I don't want to commit. Nobody else is talking to me about this. So the best gift that we were given was that on January 1st, it is mandatory to have a buyer brokerage agreement filled out with your client as soon as reasonably possible. So essentially, the second time you meet them, you need to have an agreement signed, or else you're really out of compliance. So this is
How's that going?
given
Yeah.
level playing field for everybody. So it forces us to be able to show our value. And this is where we get the opportunity to blow everybody else out of the water. Everybody, because we know that we're the best. But the challenge is that because it hasn't been a part of the process for everybody, the client doesn't want to sit down, but now they don't have a choice. So through this, we're able to actually show them what we're going to be doing to help them out and how we're going to get them there, and go through all of the things that we've been talking about before, but a lot of people were not. So getting ahead of all the potential challenges that you can have right out of the gate. And also, instead of just dating somebody, you can marry the client right then. You don't have to be running around crazy all the time. This is going to save us time and give us the opportunity to work with the right clients more often. So
Okay. And so has Seattle fallen apart? Are there revolutions happening over the buyer agreements?
no pitchforks, no nothing. Some people are going away though, right? Because if you don't know your value proposition, or if you
You
feel
talk
like
about you
you're
can't
not
educate.
worth,
Yeah, if you're not skilled enough or brave enough or confident enough, then you can't even articulate why you,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's a challenge a lot of people are facing. Sure, I think that, I mean, you mentioned there's still 30,000 realtors in your guys' MLS, right,
Yep,
John? Okay.
32,000.
So it will level the playing field. And again, a lot of people talk about the sky is falling, but the destination will probably remain the same. How we get there may end up looking a little bit different. So, Ryan, to kind of come back to you, uh, what are you seeing some of the people in your in your market focus on as far as value goes? Then, what are some of the things that you guys are doing to step up for the client and do more?
yeah, absolutely. There's really two mentalities I see right now. There's the buffalo that heads directly into the storm and says, you know what, this is inevitable. So by mid to late July, this change is coming. Although it's a proposed settlement, this is coming. We're going to implement the changes now. We're going to educate ourselves on what we need to do, and we're going to be ready for this. There's the other side that's basically stuck on social media, wondering what to do, the sky is falling mentality, And, that's a scary position to be in, you guys. This is an industry that is very much sink or swim. The failure rate in real estate is ridiculous. So I hate to say it this way, but I'm excited because we've defined our value proposition. And I believe that consistency creates credibility. And so if I'm consistent, I know my value, I've defined my value, and I can articulate that to my clients. My clients are going to be just as calm as I am. So we've literally been practicing that through role playing with our team. I'm taking every scenario that happens and I'm bringing it to my team. And I'm talking to professionals like John and Karl to say, what are you guys doing? What are you guys seeing? I mean, John's a perfect example of somebody that we should be reaching out to say, John, you're already ahead of this. What have you guys implemented that's working? Because if we're prepared for it, then there's nothing that we need to worry about. So I'm excited because I believe that there is market share and opportunity. And this is something for those of us that are prepared, that it's going to be an absolute game changer, and we're going to create so much forward progression. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Karl, come to you.
Oh, I was just going to echo on what Ryan said. We're in the core. We're super fortunate because we've got this beautiful network of amazing professionals, both on the mortgage side and on the real estate side, from New York to Florida to California to Washington and everywhere in between. And the power in the networking and the power in the collaboration is amazing. So, I can call Ryan anytime or John and say, hey guys, I ran into this situation, what would you guys do? And I think, if you're not getting coached, this is a little promo for coaching. If you're not getting coached, you're missing a huge opportunity. It has changed my life 100% since I've started getting professional executive business coaching, and makes me better for my team, makes me better for my family. And I agree with Ryan in terms of like the consistency makes a difference. We've been practicing this for a long time. This is not like we just didn't wake up and say, "Oh, who am I? What should I be?" This is something we've been doing for a long time. But we're counseled, we're coached, we're whipped to a certain extent, to get with the program and to do the business the right way. So
Yeah.
I
Let
like
me
that.
let me ask the
Yep.
question. It's one of my favorite questions to ask, especially like in a room full of realtors and lenders, let's be honest, is why you? So there's this imagine that you're either it's at a listing appointment or there's a buyer, right? And if you're a lender, fill in the scenario with your version of this. But I'll start with you, John.
Yeah.
So you go through the listing presentation or whatever stage of this, right? And so you've shared with them, right? I guess let me know if some of what you share of them is objection handling proactive in nature. But then they ask. So I appreciate you, John, like coming out here. We love everything that you've shared with us. Other agents have also come and we do honestly think that they could probably do a good job selling this home as well. So I'm really struggling with this. Like, do you mind if I just ask you, like, why should I list my house with you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's a great question, Tom. We get it all the time. And when your clients have challenges of why us, because the biggest thing, the challenge is usually 90% of our business is referred. So we talk about one of my favorite books that I'm reading right now, and it's either going to be The Favorite or The Fool. So we come into the situation the right way. So I think even before you talk about the situation of why it's should you even be there is the first thing, right? So make sure that you're going into the right appointments. And the biggest thing for me, and it's so silly, the reason why you should choose us is because we show up. And we show up in two really big ways. Number one is you're hiring me for my expert negotiation skills, but a very close second is our communication skills. And there is so many agents out there right now that are spinning every single plate in their business. Right now, if you call my office and you want to buy a house, you're going to get a live person that will pick up the phone and help you and get you set up in my calendar so we can have a conversation. If you need to sell your house, the same thing. I have clients right now that have questions, want to know what's going on. They can call, they can get those things answered. And it's just the basic of basic things. But in the in the age that we're in right now is people want to hear from you quickly. So if you're not picking up the phone and if you're not capturing that contact, we are losing out for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, because all we need is one, but we can't let them slip through our fingers. And we have the processes and the team to make sure that we can get you to the finish line. And that's really, at the end of the day, it's a communication thing. It's so silly, but I say it all the time. And I'm like, I just pick up the phone and answer the phone. Like, it's not rocket science, but I would say 90% of our competition, text message back, not counseling enough, scared of having the hard conversation. That is not how we operate.
Or there's people, and the people who do maybe have, because I think there's a difference, right? There's a difference between people who have too much time, right?
Mhm.
And well, that's because they don't have any transactions or they don't have as much experience, right? There's probably something to be said for that situation, but none of us need to judge. At the end of the day, are you going to be able to achieve the same result? I don't think that that's necessarily always the case. You guys share a process within the core, right? I think that there's probably differences among some of the things. Can one of you quickly just kind of walk me through some of the processes as far as I would say the reps, right? Like, what are the things that you guys are evaluating yourselves, right? And you guys are all coaches. The people you're coaching on as far as their daily activities and things that are going to help them with their skill.
Ryan, I think you're the master. Ryan's the master of the playbook.
Yes.
Okay, playbook master.
Yeah, I mean, there are quite a few systems and that's the reason why, for somebody like me, I spent 10 years as a touring musician. I am probably the most undisciplined and unregimented person, and I love chaos. So I have to pay, and I will never leave the core because my business will fall apart. I've seen it. I just know that it happens. So regarding systems and structure, if I don't have that, then everything for me goes away. But Tom, just to make sure I can clarify on this, would this be regarding like a buyer process or a seller process or just processes in general? How can I best clarify on that for you?
Yeah, let's separate the two because I think that there's a difference between, we'll leave the process as far as what you're doing on a daily basis, I guess, alone, just because we want to focus on the value to the consumer. So yeah, take me through the process of a buyer.
Absolutely. So just like John said, it all starts with listening. And here's where we go off track. We answer the phone, hopefully. Like John says, 90% of the time we don't. So you've just missed the opportunity right there, because every agent says, oh, I'm a great communicator, yet it takes you 48 hours to get back to me because you wrote down their number on the back of a McDonald's wrapper and we've lost it. Okay. So number one is, if you can answer the phone and communicate, you've already beat out 90% of the market. Number two is we have one mouth and two ears, yet we are completely backwards on that. We don't lead in with listening. So Tom, if you're my client, my objective is to listen to you, to ask questions, to use a strategy like LP Mama, location, price, motivation. I need to figure out, why is it that you want to sell or buy? How can I best help you to execute that? And to be where my value is I'm going to formulate a plan, Tom, that you can absolutely buy into and know that you're in the best hands, and I'm going to get you the best results. And here's the secret sauce. If it's all lip service and I can't deliver on that, I've lost all credibility and I'll never talk to you again. So
Yeah.
you have to have a plan and execute the plan every time.
And I like how people say this seems simple, I think. And I've seen, to be honest, like I hear realtors say, oh, this is kind of standard, like the questions you ask. No, I think there's better questions. I think that there's world-class questions. And when you change, when you go from, can someone do this, right? If you focus on, hey, can they buy a house versus should you buy a house, right? Or what we had in the slides is must, right? Is this something you must do? It really changes how you approach that person, right? Because now you're focusing on helping the person. There was actually an investor I was just talking to. They're looking to do a few flips. And very quickly, I started to ask, what are your goals over the next 5 to 10 years? Like, I want to make sure that I understand what your vision is. And it really helped me understand what their future was. And then I was able to even bring in the conversation about a trust. I forget what the exact term is when it's is it a directive trust, right? Like after they pass, they want to accumulate this large family asset. But when they pass away, there's another conversation to be had, which is, how are your descendants going to be spending this money? So there immediately was the opportunity for me to refer them to an estate planner, which I haven't even done a transaction for this person, but I'm serving them and helping them and setting my agenda aside, right? If I can do a conventional loan for them, or they want to do something non-QM, right? Cool. That to me is my process. I'm going to run you through my process, but now I can start to think a little bit farther ahead. How can I make you more successful? And sometimes you have to ask world-class questions. So not all questions are equal. I love that point, Ryan.
I love that too. And that's a lot of what Karl, John, and I do is we come from a mindset of a giver's gain mentality. And if we can plant enough seeds, you cultivate those and you water them, you pick fruit. But that's all our mindset is: find a need, fill a need, find a need, fill a need. If I can make enough deposits, then at some point we've earned the right to take a withdrawal. But it has to be that mindset, Tom. Like you said, it's not a sales mentality. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm an advisor that's helping them to make an educated decision. And sometimes that decision is, you know what, it's not a good time, or this isn't a good opportunity for you to buy. Let's wait. Let's get you in a position where you can be successful. So I love that you brought that up.
And I think
Ryan,
going back,
yeah, go ahead, Karl.
oh, I was just saying, I think going back to what John says, I think it's like starting right out of the gate by being relational, by finding out who these people are, finding out, the kids, the pets, the lifestyle, the sports, the religion, the whatever. So asking questions: where do they actually work? What do they actually do? Getting to know who these people are so that we can really help them. It amazes me sometimes that, a realtor will just get up, run out, show a house, get up, run out, show a house, and never talk to the client, never ask him any questions. Like, literally, do you even know who these people are or whether they can do this or not? And I'm not talking just from a mortgage perspective. I'm talking from a lifestyle perspective, from who they are, or what their situation is and what they want. So I think it's super important to be relational right out of the gate, and then continue to be that way and answer your phone. To John's point. Yeah.
I was on a different webinar, web event, and Phil Jones was one of the people speaking, and he's going to be speaking at this upcoming conference. So he wrote a book called Exactly What to Say, and he gave a scenario that I had to write down because I was like, this is really good. Like, this is actually helping the person, right? He calls it the OFQ method, and I'm just going to read it to you guys for anyone who wants to steal it. You probably get it from him. Like, let's say that somebody is calling you, right, like off of a property that you have for sale. So, I would just talk to that person and say, hey, it's Tom Meister calling from Neo Home Loans. I see you were looking at, some homes on, let's say, Realtor.com recently, looking for more information on 123 Main Street. Is that the only property that you're interested in? And then they'll tell you, right? The answer is no, right? Okay, well, where do you folks live right now? Then they tell you. Okay, well, how long have you been there? And they'll tell you. And do you own that place, or are you renting? And they'll tell you. So as you're going, what we're doing is collecting a meaningful body of evidence about the person. So when you ask that person, okay, so I see that 123 Main Street is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single family home in location at X price point. What is it that's making you look for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home? And it goes a little farther to now that a lot of people treat these leads like, hey, I'll show you the house. And when do you want to see the house? That might be and I think a lot of people talk about speed to lead. It's important, guys, but I can still ask that question, right? After I've collected a more meaningful body of evidence. I actually, there was a realtor I share Realtor.com leads with. I had one. I was like, screw it. I'm just going to use this script. And it worked right away. The person just spilled the beans on everything. And I was like, oh, okay, fantastic. Yeah, I'd love to make sure you connect with the agent as well so we can show you this property. But let me follow up with you, because I think that, I discerned some other details, did a dreams and goals call for that person on the spot. Ryan, I want to come back to you real quick because I feel like you kind of got away. I want to ask you why you, and then yes. Karl, I'll come back to you. So Ryan, same scenario, listing appointments, buyer, you go through things, then they just they want to throw out the challenge question. Hey, okay, like, yeah, we met you at this open house that we came through. Now that we've met, I understand what you guys are doing. We love you. There is another realtor though that we have that has also showed us some homes. And to be honest, like, I kind of feel like maybe they're the one finding all the homes, right? So why should I be working with you? Help me discern through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and one thing that's a key for us is you talked about speed to lead. our motto is speed to relationship, because the first one to get in relationship, you build trust. You're the one that's going to be, if you can develop the relationship, they know, like, and trust you. I feel like you've got them. So that's my number one objective, is speed to relationship. Okay. So why me? So if you're in my area, I've defined my value proposition. This is my unique, this is what sets me apart from anybody else that they may be talking to. Number one, I'm a third generation real estate agent. That's unique for me. I've lived in my area of Riverside, California my entire life. I will not disclose my age, but I'm getting up there. So and why that's
You did say your age on our last podcast, right?
okay, well, you'll have to go back and find the last podcast and subscribe for Tom if you want to find that out. It's not super important.
We'll drop it in the chat, guys.
Yeah, please do. Please do. So why that's important for you, Tom, is the years that I have been here, I am a lifelong Riverside resident. So what that means is, if you want to know the best schools, the best parks, what's important for you. I know that you have young children, Tom, and you had mentioned to me that the schools and the parks and all the amenities for your family are what's most important to you. Okay. So not only am I I've lived in this area for my entire life. I've been through many complicated markets in Riverside, and I've got the skill set to help you navigate and help you be successful in ever-changing markets. So everything from the Great Recession in 2008 to everything that we've seen right now, not only do I have the experience in these challenging markets, I have well over 1,000 transactions and over $1 billion in sales volume. And I don't say that to impress you, but to impress upon you that not only am I a full-time professional, I'm a business person that sells real estate, but I'm a full-time professional, and my job is to educate you and protect you to make the best decisions. So what other concerns do you have, so I can make sure that we can attend to those? The big thing is, Tom, for me, it's what are the three things that are for us to make this a great experience and working together, what are those three things? Because we don't ask those questions. And those are my deliverables throughout the process. If I can give you these three things, then can I give you a great experience? It's just so easy. You ask, they tell you, you deliver. Nobody does that. That's the biggest value proposition, is just asking those questions and delivering.
Yeah. Karl, I'm going to come to you in a second, but since Katie threw this in the chat, I can just pop this up right here. So I'm just going to put it up on the screen, because I think that we're going to try and avoid talking about the NAR settlement on this as well, because this is centered around value. I've heard some agents share with me recent scenarios. In fact, I've even talked with clients like that they don't know about this. So I think that because we're in the industry, it could be easier for us to assume that, like, oh, this is really, important. I don't know if agents are necessarily going to be neglecting to talk about it versus being a tactical part of it. I mean, I like Ryan's point, which is he's listening to them. So if we, is it defensive? Like, how does it come off? Like, so I'll take this down, but it's in the chat, guys, if you want to come back to it. But what are some of your guys' thoughts on people being loud about it on social media and not addressing it, even with their clients? I've talked to some teams who made videos and sent the videos to their clients. So we'll touch on it, but I think it's a good question. And don't worry about the typos.
Yeah. So it's coming up a lot in conversations when I'm with sellers and with buyers, and I just let them know that, hey, this is what's on the horizon. It's being put into law in July, and hopefully finalized by the end of the year. And really, we don't know what's actually going to happen. We have ideas. Compensation may or may not change. It's most likely not going to make homes more affordable. There's a bunch of different aspects of it, but it's all developing as we go on a daily basis. So, I'm here. I'm still going to provide excellent service and value to you. I'm going to try to get you the most amount of money I can for your home. When you call me, I'm going to answer the phone. I'm going to tell you what I think, but at the end of the day, you're the boss. You can make the decision, and hopefully, we're going to have a great relationship. So I like to bring it back to how I'm going to help them, how I'm going to service them, and if they feel like that's a great fit, then we'll go forward.
I like that you don't need it. and you're letting
Yeah.
them know that. I think that
Yeah.
for what it's worth, there's stages of life that probably affect some people who they feel like they have to have it, right? The deal, I mean,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So when you have that fear and you can't walk away from it, I mean, you're choosing. There's three forms of currency: money, time, and energy, and you're always trading in those things. So if you take a
Yep.
client that you know is going to be a serious pain in the ass, let's be honest, they're going to
Hmm.
start consuming not just your money. I mean, maybe this was someone who was asking you for a discount, right? Well, that client's also now consuming energy and time, and those things are also extremely valuable. Let me dive a little deeper with you, Karl. So since you kind of
Hmm.
touched on it, let's say that you're on a listing appointment and the seller straight up knows about this, brings it up, and they're asking you why you. On top of it, they don't, based on what they're seeing online in the media and the
Yeah.
news, like they don't want to pay like a buyer's agent commission. Like, why? This seems stupid.
Yeah.
Like, there's another agent who says that I could do that and that'd be fine. So why should I work with you?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Tom, again, it's your decision whether you want to pay a buyer's agent or not. You're going to pay me for my experience and what I'm going to bring to the table, and the fact that I'm going to negotiate and get you more money than anybody else can because I have the experience and the knowledge and the depth in this industry to be able to do that on a highly professional level. Um, I, if you're saying you don't want to pay a buyer's agent, I respect you. You had that right today. You had that right 2 years ago. It's there's nothing different about that. The thing that is going to affect you the most on that, Tom, is that there's a whole group of real estate agents that are kind of working with the buyer pool that's in your specific area. And if you're not paying them, most likely they're not going to support their client to come and do a transaction with you. So it's going to be you and me hanging out. So I'll do open houses for you. I'll have my team do open houses for you. But it's going to be an uphill battle to get a transaction done without paying a buyer's broker. So
Yeah. Guys, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Go
I'd
ahead, John.
say, yeah, I would agree with Karl. For me, at the end of the day, I think that if a small portion decides not to do it, your fee to the buyer's agent now is just going to highlight your home even more. It now becomes a legitimized marketing tactic, as you're positioning your home for sale. So, I think that now it's even more beneficial to be able to put that out there. However, it's going to be put out there because none of us know. So, but the
yeah,
two things I wanted to mention about that Katie had with do you address it or not? So, number one, I love that everybody's freaking out online about it. I think it's great because a lot of the stuff that's happening is that they're scaring the Jesus out of everybody. So our clients are now reaching out to us like, hey, I don't know what's going on, right? Like I'm the trusted advisor. So what I did is I just sent out an email and I didn't get into nothing, right? I just did a video on one of my Tuesday videos. I said, hey, there's a lot of stuff that's changing in our industry. If you have questions around it, just call me. Right? I don't think we need to have a stance on it. I don't think you need to do any of that stuff because the consumer and our clients are going to, you can find whatever answer you're looking for. So, but we really need to go back to like what Ryan said is we need to listen. Like why, like, okay, if they call us and they're asking us questions about this lawsuit, guess what, Ryan? They're probably thinking about doing something, So they're, we have all this, momentum that's pushing clients even more towards us. And if we're the right people, they're going to be calling out, and we should be proactively too, like bringing it up, like either in one-on-one or when you're making database calls, you have any questions, concerns, whatever, then you can tackle it that way.
Well, are we making database calls? I I'll bring it up. You know
absolutely.
what? I think it's controversial because so are you guys familiar with Clubhouse? There's a
Sort of, I feel like.
yeah, it's
A
like
little
basically
bit.
it's like an interactive podcast that's audio only, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's an app, and there's a group here in Central Ohio. I'm just going to say it. I don't care because so many people are focused on creating content, and I think that just like we're talking about our value proposition, right? Like sometimes it's just work. Like when I meet with a client, like there's a doctor here in she just graduated from med school. She's going to be doing a physician loan in Milwaukee where she just matched for residency, and she'd never seen a total cost analysis. She'd never seen like side by side, like nobody did work. And she's doing a physician loan. she actually has the option to put no money down, like, because she can do 100% finance. Now, buyers have to pay their deposit. But if we get a credit from the seller, then you actually could get in the home for free. I think it was $300 in the scenario I built for her. So you have to actually do work sometimes for people. And just like a lot of people are spending time on creating content, and I think that it adds, right? Like John, I mean, it's right after we met and I started following you, I started seeing you falling off skateboards and things like that. And I think it's great. I don't know if that makes us more successful though. Just like we should be focusing on making our value proposition better, doing more work, right? For the actual client. I think that we need to be calling our database, because if you're creating Instagram reels or you're doing other things, sweet. There was an agent who brought this up, is like, why are agents so afraid to work right now? Or like, where have all the agents gone that want to work? Right? I don't know if you guys have large teams, so I'm sure that you've maybe seen some of that. But again, going back to the processes, which we touched on, do you guys want to quickly touch on what are your thoughts as far as creating content? Yes, again, like, let's work on becoming better, our skills, which content is a skill. You get better at that. What are some of your guys' thoughts? Who wants to take that first?
I'll jump on it. So I would say for me is that you got to be super basic. Like, it's important to be out there, but that's not where we're finding our clients, right? It's social proof. We want to be in the places where they are. But like the videos that you subscribe to, Tom, and all the guys on here see the stuff that I do. I literally, whatever you see on that video is the extent of what I actually did. I don't do anything else after that. And I think the biggest challenge when we look at content and agents, especially that are solo, that they think that that's what they should be doing to get business. And they shoot the video, they watch it 50 times to see if it's perfect. And they spend 3-4 hours editing it. And now their whole day's gone. And they didn't make one phone call.
And now want to also spend energy and time and money. Maybe they even hire people. And that was one of the points I was trying to make, is like, first off, if you're just, I think one of my buddies, Sean Herrera, mentioned this in the past, is I think it's really shitty that we have to remind people to be authentic. Like that, people say that all the time, right? Like, be you. And it's like, why do we have to remind people to be themselves? But if you don't worry about your ums, ands, and ahs, then like, just get it out there. And in the beginning, again, like, I think you're better off calling your database, which sorry if that was a long rant, guys, but I wanted to chase that because I don't think people are doing that simple thing sometimes, or even their contacts, right? I'm reading Alex Hormozy's book right now, and he says, show me your phone. How many contacts do you have across your different email accounts? Those are all leads. I just gave you 2,000 leads. Please don't tell me you don't have any leads. Like, I think that's a really shitty excuse for people. So, any other Ryan?
I would agree 100% on that. And John falling off his skateboard, I think, makes him human, and I think that's super important. But if John's not answering the phone and calling his VIPs and chasing whales and calling his database a letter at a time, John's not going to be successful, whether he's human or not. And I think that's just super, super basic, which a ton of people in our industry just don't do. And it's crazy because there's gold. Everybody's chasing the silver bullet. And the silver bullet is hard work, picking up the phone, making calls, networking, chasing people. So,
and I think our teams also help us deliver our value to the customers.
For sure.
Can any of you think of an example in particular where, sure, like, well, I guess I'll ask my follow-up question in a second. Do you guys have any specific examples of how the team allows us to add more value?
Yeah, I'll do that, because I think it starts at the inception, right? So most of the time they may talk to our team before they get to us if they call through our office line. So, my frontline person is my director of first impressions, and it all starts there. So if she answers, she's, courteous, she's friendly, she's effective. All of that creates, people don't really care what you say. They care about how you make them feel. Right. And Karl and John and I, we all went through a book together. And one of the main points is, well done is better than well said. Right. So for us, my team is the director of first impressions. So if they can extract certain data, like, Tom, if you're my client, you call in and they are looking for data points to create a wow experience. So for John and Karl and I, we already have trained our teams to look for those moments for us to deliver an exceptional experience. So You know, for me, I have a type 1 diabetic daughter. The number one experience that I had from one of my business partners is that he sent her these sugar-free pops, or like these little candy pops. And I'll tell you, for the investment, it was less than 20 bucks. Absolutely. I will never forget that in my life. I told my team, how do we create this experience? That's what I want to do. I don't know where my portfolio is today. I just know that he loved on my daughter, and I'll never forget that. I share those experiences with my team, and I tell them, this is what we have to look out for. This is my expectation of how we cater to our clients.
Yeah, I like to call that, this is a weird name, the bucket of ice. One of my coaches, Renee Rodriguez, he's an influence leadership coach, shared this story about how he went to this mortgage company, him and his wife, and they, met with them. Like, basically, they showed them their entire recruiting process, I think is what they were walking through. They got back home, and they get home, and there's a random like bucket of ice that was delivered. And it was this, the crushed ice, like the little tiny things, right? And so while they were there, because it was from the mortgage company, it was from the CEO, I think, he picked up on a story that the wife, Maddie, had shared, which was, we were talking about how in our house, like the kids love that ice. So basically they treat it like gold. They kind of use it like, to get the kids to do things. And so it's a really like sentimental, important thing. Just like what you just said about your daughter. Like, they listened. They listened for the bucket of ice. And that meant more than anything else anyone could send them, right? It was, you listened, and they felt seen and felt heard.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Yeah.
We have our guest in the back here, so we're going to get to him in 30 seconds. But really quickly, does anyone have some other final thoughts? I love the conversation. Honestly, we could probably keep going because I think it never ends. That's the point of enhancing our value proposition. It's a journey that never really stops. Do you guys have some final thoughts?
I would say final thought for me.
Go ahead, John.
We highlighted so many things, and I think that in our business, it's like we get these big bullet points, but the implementation piece is super hard. So I'm excited for Randall to jump on, because what the three of us and the four of us, Randall included, have been doing for years and years and years is not talking about it, actually doing the work. So the biggest thing for me is that we've gone through lots of things, and I see things in the chat, but if you want to learn how to actually get this stuff done, listen to Randall coming up.
There you go, Karl.
And I would just say, like, a huge shout out to my team. I couldn't, like Ryan, I'm distracted, shiny object. Like, hard for me to stay on the rails. And without my team, the brilliant things don't come out of my mind. I need them to keep me going on a regular basis. So surround yourself with great people, get a great coach, and really dig into it, because the fruits of what we do, if you do this right, are amazing, phenomenal. So thank you for the time.
Execute the plays is, I guess, what the core says, right? Follow the playbook. All right, I'm gonna bring up Randall. Appreciate you, dude, making the time with your busy day. Not only do you have an origination team, but you also are director of the course. So thanks for making the time. So the special giveaway, don't leave yet, guys. I'm gonna throw something up, but I'll let Randall quickly talk about the core, because as we alluded to before, both John, Ryan, and Karl, all of them are not only level 3 realtors within the core, but they're coaches. So it was weird how this all came together. It was awesome and cool. And so Randall and Ryan were like, hey, why don't we give something away to people? So Randall, if you mind introducing yourself, who you're with, and then we'll get into that.
Yeah, now the whole, but wait, there's more. There is more coming, guys. So Randall Mills, director at the core, also level 3 coach, just like these three absolute rock stars that were on with you. I've been blessed to have them in my life. I've worked with Karl professionally. I've had Ryan sell homes for me, and I've referred people to John, who got excellent service. So listening to those three guys, I've actually experienced on all three sides. Man, the core changed my entire life. And you hear this all the time, changed my life. But I got licensed in 2013, January 5th, 2013. Brand new in the industry. Has anybody seen Office Space out there? I was Melvin, even to the point that someone even gave me the red swing line stapler, except 41 years old. I got shoved in the corner of the office behind the cubicles up against the wall, starting in this industry brand new, fresh. And someone that helped me, a level 3 coach, Greg Gale, helped me by giving me CDs of what the core was doing. These were great recordings of guys like Karl and Ryan and John, like level 3 coaches, just dripping gold to help me out, right? So I was able to, in 3 years, just following the model, following the recipe, not changing it one bit or anything, just literally just what it does, what it says. Don't change around what they tell you to do. Was able to increase revenues every year to 3 years in, 250, fourth year after my first summit's coming up to a 500,000. I mean, just that fast. And then to 6 years in this industry, creating $1 million revenue net income to me model by following the core. And that's the one thing about all the level 2 and level 3 coaches in the core. They all currently net $1 million. So when those 3 guys are talking to their guys, take note. They know what they're doing. They're making the money. Now, that's not a bragging, it's a validation point. This company creates millionaires and creates the best of the best in the industry. So, with Thomas having us on, inviting us in, I've actually got 2 gifts we're going to give away. All right. First one, free discovery call with any one of our coaches in the core to find out what they can, even if you're right for a program or not, we will honestly tell you. I promise you, sometimes we actually say no more than we say yes on things because we want to make sure it's the right fit for both of us. If not, we'll give you direction on where to get the best information. But the second one, for logging into Tom's show today, we are going to give you $1,000 off our coaching summit. That's on May 8th, 9th, and 10th in Orlando. Now, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this one. My boss is probably going to call me after this one, Tom, and be like, what the heck did you just do? But I'm going to give $1,000 off for our coaching summit. The difference for this coaching summit, I love Renee Rodriguez, Ed Milet, and all these guys. They're great. They are awesome in the space out there. You're going to have 32 guys of that caliber in the room currently doing what you guys do in the industry, teaching all the classes. We don't bring in outside speakers because these guys are the experts. They can tell you what to do. That'll change your business the day after you leave this summit. Your business will change. And they're available to you from 7 in the morning till midnight for 3 days. These aren't the ones you see on stage, get a quick selfie with, and then disappear. They're available to you all day, all night, lunch, breakfast, dinner, fire pits at the bar. Awesome event coming up. And by the way, these guys, I mean, talk about, who are you listening to? Thomas brought that up front. You couldn't have said it better. Who are you listening to right now, guys? Who are you listening to this noise in the industry that we have with people that maybe don't know exactly, they're just thoughts or ideas or theory? These guys do it every single day.
Dude, I really appreciate you making the time. So for everyone Randall, what's the investment again for the summit, which I know is last minute, guys, but I mean, if I could swing better help, just because I have 3 kids, okay? I have a 6-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 7-month-old, and my wife's a doctor, a new resident at OSU. That's probably the hardest reason I can't really get away for 2.5, 3 days. But I was trying really hard to make it happen. So what is the investment again for that, Randall?
So we do it for outside people who've never been part of the core before, $6,000. We'll knock it down to 5. For our level 1 members, maybe those are out there. We knock it down to 5,000 already. So I'm going to give you the same price as our level 1 members going out there.
Somebody who's already
Once
in
you
the
get up to
core.
a level 3 member, it's included in the price. So I mean, but Thomas, we can still make this happen. It is at the Omni, it's in Orlando, very close to Disney World. So let's just tell your kids we'll go for a couple of days, go to Disney World afterwards. We can make this happen for you, brother. Super simple.
Hey, if you can swing that, guys, and make it a thing. But Randall, thank you so much for making the time. Really quickly, I'm just gonna bring everyone else up here and let you all kind of chum it up because you guys probably hang out more frequently than me. That's one of the most beautiful things I've noticed is that community component we talked about. Who are you listening to? It's your choice who you want to stay around. And I remember that I think back to my career and title, and then I basically was doing national recruiting for our mortgage company for 4 years. And I constantly tried to level up who I was surrounded by and who my influences were. So that's your choice, right? In the beginning, you're dealt a hand, but you get to choose. So don't let that be a limiting factor for you. Thanks, guys, all of you. So appreciative you all making the time. We're 3 minutes over, so I want to make sure I'm respectful of everyone's time. Thanks, guys, for making the time to be here today. Yeah, we'll see you in the next episode, and really appreciate you. So thanks again, everyone.
Thank you so much. Yep.
Good to see you.
See you guys.